Let's hear what our guest has to say about this. Welcome to the show, Jonathan Davids, economist, wealth advisor. Welcome to the show, Jonathan.
Hi, Alexis.
Now, we've spoken before. What do you make of this story? It's sort of one of those stories that sounds a little bit too strong and too sort of, as Lambert put it, quite bold to be true. But having read the article several times, it's exactly what it says on the tin.
Well, it's not actually. I don't think given the full story. And for the first time to do with politics, I agree with Mr. Opic there.
Hey!
Because if you read further in the story, it says, and I quote, after verifying the contents of the email seen by BuzzFeed, another HMRC spokesman said, we never take political donations into account when working out how to work with other countries or indeed on our own in enforcing the tax law. It was included, the Tories and Prince Charles, etc., was included as background information. Clearly, to me, the person who wrote from HMRC was probably, I say clearly, probably, okay, it was likely to have been a junior and who was likely to be anti-Conservative Party, and then a senior took it on board, realised what had happened, and is trying to sort out the problem that first person created. The idea that the tax inspectors are political and are stopping an international investigation because of a political donation, it beggars belief.
I totally agree.
It does beg a belief, and it is shocking, but so far you haven't said anything other than, well, this can't possibly be true. That sort of, I'm thinking, well, no, it's definitely not true. I mean, you're just saying it beggars belief, but hey, listen, look at the Windrush. Look at the Windrush scandal. That, if you told me that 2 weeks ago, I would say no way. No way would we do that to 50,000 people. And yet we've done.
A lot of people have said, that's the Conservatives being racist and so on. No, that was a civil service cock-up. Am I allowed to say that on the radio?
It's too late now.
I think you just did. And also, I think it's hugely convenient to blame it on the civil service, but we're going to be talking about the Windrush scandal later on, so I'm not going to go into that. But what I'm trying to say is that in this day and age of politics, a lot of very shocking things are turning out to be true. Okay. So you haven't succeeded, Jonathan, yet to tell me why this isn't true.
Well, I'll come back to that in 1 second. I think it's pertinent to note that a lot of the stuff that goes on is outrageous, outlandish, illegal, probably, and certainly cronyist. In other words, it helps the elite to the detriment of the many. I'll give you a very simple example. 9 years ago, whatever government it was, because in America it was the right wing, in Britain it was the left wing, it was right across the world, we borrowed thousands of billions of pounds, dollars, euros, whatever, and we handed it to millionaire and billionaire bankers. So there's no question a lot goes on that is absolutely outrageous. Until we know more, all we're taking is what BuzzFeed has said, but certainly well done to you for raising the issue, because if this is true, that the British government has actually stopped this investigation as opposed to HMRC for normal policy reasons, then of course that is extremely important.
No, that's what interests me about this, Jonathan. You put your finger on it there. If there is a political interference, then the alarm bells ring. The alarm bells which Alexis is ringing here at Talk Radio. If, on the other hand, it is, as you say, a junior person in HMRC made an out-of-turn comment, which has subsequently been amended by a more senior person, and there is no link between the government and the research, which is, by the way, I'm not a Conservative, but I think that's probably more likely, then this is a non-story. And
is it?
Yes, it's a non-story.
Hang on. Let me just give you a little bit of more information from that BuzzFeed article. It was revealed by BuzzFeed that Leica Mobile was depositing rucksacks stuffed with hundreds of thousands of pounds of cash at post offices all around London, practice that experts have said they should raise concern. The government has taken no criminal action against the company, even after the French launched their money laundering probe. Meanwhile, since those accusations, have been made. The Conservative Party has taken over £800,000 from that company, and in total 2.2 million.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's not the issue here.
Well, the issue is there is something that needs to be investigated, right? The government are doing nothing about it, even though another national government is trying to do something about it. And the tax people, the HMRC, albeit someone very junior who may have spoken out of turn and may have phrased it differently, are actually not cooperating. Why is this going on?
The issue is actually a three-parter. One, the junior person who spoke out of turn in HMRC. I'm inclined to believe Jonathan's assessment to that.
When you say spoke out of turn, that depends on which way you're looking at it. Because maybe they're telling the truth.
No, however you look at it, it was a politically charged comment. It shouldn't have been, even if it's true, it shouldn't have been made by the HMRC.
Okay,
it's not their job.
Fine.
The second thing is whether the government is being influenced by the money which they've got. That's a big accusation. I said this at the start of our conversation. Interesting to know what Jonathan thinks. Do you think, Jonathan, that the money that the government, not the government, the Conservatives, not the government, the Conservatives have got from Leica Mobile is affecting what's happening to Leica Mobile? And then there's a third question, which we probably won't go into today, about political donations in the first place. The whole of American politics is mired in the fact that you can buy power. Are we going down that path as well? Jonathan, do you think that the government, the politicians, the Conservative involvement is in some way protecting Leica Mobile, or do you think that that's actually a wrong story?
I believe that political parties are influenced by political donations and by the old boy or the old girl's network. When you look at literal criminality, HSBC was found money laundering for Mexican drug cartels. They then were evading tax for people in Central Europe. This is criminality. Not a single individual in HSBC was sent down. And that's just one bank and a couple of examples, and no doubt there are dozens, if not hundreds of examples of criminality, and we get to hear about 1 in 100 cases. We've heard about LIBOR, and 3, shall I say, junior lieutenants were sent down. Whatever happened to the generals? One of my favourite hashtags on Twitter is hashtag prosecute bank generals. It never happens. So clearly there's a lot going on in the city that should not be going on, but for whatever reason, the politicians of whatever colour and the governments of whatever colour are allowing it to happen. This is outrageous, but it happens. This particular instance, Alexa said, it needs to be investigated. We need someone to go in there and say, look, what on earth is going on here? And yes, this should be pretty well on the front pages of the newspapers to get someone to get moving on it. If it stays online, no one's going to do anything about it.
Well, good luck with that. I mean, I think with Windrush and Brexit and the papers sort of talking, I don't know what the papers are talking about, but they're not talking about that. But Jonathan, thank you so much for being part of the show. Jonathan Davis, their economist and wealth advisor.